Good evening, all. I caught the mic that time, so I think we're starting out in a good place. Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry, I'm just playing with my gain levels ever so slightly, so hopefully I'm not peaking too much. Let me know if I am. But good evening to all. Good evening to. Let's see who we've got in here. Oh, good lord, it won't let me scroll. There we go. Good evening to John Chavez, to Rash Mordor, Wooter, Psycho, Eve Inspiration, Mount Stunner. Good lord, there's a lot of you in already. To Ray Louderbeck, to Red Boxster, to Space Saga, Sloth, Citizen Ninja, Vioblight, Viper Leo, Stakaragor, Jamlat, Groofus, Luna, good evening, Socially Confused Shinobi, Rage Dog. I think that's everyone. I'm hoping that's everyone. Good. Do you know what? At some point, I'm going to have to stop doing that. Good evening to Chief Paranoid Officer as well. Welcome. It's going to be an interesting stream because we are so close now to IAE. And of course, we've got a few other things going on as well. Announcements been made around things like Twitch drops, and they've released, kind of an FAQ for what's going on. So we've got a few bits to go on. A complete disclaimer: I will try to make the full 2 hours. That might not be possible, but we'll see. But we will certainly cover everything I have on my list before we call it quits this evening. So yeah, absolutely. Vibrate, I'm glad you enjoy it, my friend. This is always about the streams for me. Have always been about interacting with you guys and that sort of stuff. So yeah, the best ship will be released next week. Absolutely, the Clipper's looking awesome. I'm kidding, by the way. But I mean, it might end up being the best ship. I have no idea. Yeah, so 4.4, IAE, everything, coming this week now, basically. It's next week or this week as of 3 hours from now. So on the 20th, IAE launches and everything else. And we've got some interesting news. Now, I kind of opened up, the reason I keep colour changing and stuff, is I opened up the IAE page on RSI, and I don't think I need to, because I think everything on that page is covered in the FAQ video. So let me boot that up just a moment for you. So we're zoomed in at least a little bit. You can read along if you want to. Similarly, I'll read it out anyway. So if you're watching and not kind of, or listening and not kind of watching, I'll tell you what they're saying. So stand by and we shall jump across in just a moment. Insert transition sound effect here. Yeah, so Badgers, you're finally getting your Perseus here very soon. Absolutely. And more than a little excited about that as well. So that's going to be really cool. IAE FAQ has been released. For those that haven't seen or haven't watched any content about this, there are a couple of things in here that you will probably want to know. So, 1600 UTC, which is why if you look at the Discord, our Discord, that is when the Perseus group event is going to happen. So we are all going to get together. We're all going to fly as many Perseus as we can get our hands on. It's going to start. I guess we can do it over at IAE, and we'll see if we can tank the servers, because it's also the start of the free fly. So I'm pretty sure we can break things, including the servers. But that'll be fun. We're going to give that a go. So, as it says here, starting at the same time with the free fly, and that's kind of alluded to in the title, and we'll come back to that in just a second. Everyone's getting in Crusader Intrepid, which is great because that's a very underrated ship in my opinion. It would be good for people to have a go at that, but even the free flies will start off with that ship, so no matter where they are, they can get themselves to the expo. And it's being held at the Vision Center in Orizon on Crusader, which is cool. Nice to see the IAE there. Yeah, so the shuttle goes from the spaceport, not the what do you call it, thing, not the habs and stuff. So it's worth knowing that there's no direct shuttle from there. You got to get yourself to the spaceport first, and then as it says, all the stuff about renting is all normal. Your rent still lasts for 48 hours, so no change there. You can rent everything that you can get your hands on, and there will be best in show planes for Polaris, Asgard, Zeus Mark II, and the Anvil Gladiator. Woo! So that's great, as well as their limited, as well as their in-game manufacturer poster as well. So, if you've got them in your hangar, you get one. And then the Polaris will get a collectible in-game championship pennant. Why was that so hard to say? To commemorate the glory of being this year's Ship Showdown champion. So that. If you already have one, you'll get the IAE exclusive paint on the last day, or at some point after the last day. So that's good news. There's that. Interestingly, now there's some big news about the Lightning. Okay, basically, up until now, the Lightning has been got one of a number of ways. You either got it for being concierge, and there's a couple of versions. You got it for getting the gold ticket. So there were gold tickets and loot boxes and scattered around the verse. You'd find one, you go to a rental kiosk, you pop it in, that would give you your F8. Okay, so there's that. There were also platinum tickets, which are exceptionally rare. But if you found one, it basically spawned a mission on you, a marker on that ticket the whole time. You had to get it back to a major landing zone. You then had to get to a rental kiosk with it. And if you did that, you got given one for free. So a couple of ways that they could do that. They are now changing that. So in-game, those gold tickets, the gold licenses, will no longer be required. It will be available to all players to pledge with no effort. However, it is still limited to one pledgeable F8C per account. So it says there, F8C Lightning is still limited to one per account. So if you've previously pledged for one, you will not be able to pledge for a second. So, obviously this removes a bit of the obstacle to get hold of the F8C, and everyone will be able to get one now. They have obviously conceded that this is going to piss some people off, because anything they do pisses people off, but this is slightly different, right? There was something you had to do in game. I mean, I remember being the Golden Ticket Santa. I picked up so many of these things. I was just leaving them in random places at different major landing zones, and hopefully someone got those. We were handing them out to anyone that needed them. But if you own an F8C in any capacity but own it, not just, as in credited to your game account, then when we hit Anvil Day during IAE, which is whatever day that is, so November 25th and 26th, you will get a paint that will only be available to those people who get hold of it. Okay, so this is the paint that you're going to get. Okay, which is the Night Weaver paint. So for anyone who owns an F8C in their account at release of Anvil Day, so 1600 on the day that we just said, you'll get that paint, and that commemorates the fact that you own it. Okay, so that's it. And then it says here very specifically, this reward will not be retroactively applied in the future, i.e., I don't know why that was so hard, let's just do that. Players who reach the qualifying concierge level after IAE will not receive the commemorative paint. If you pledge, you will not receive it. So that's that. Shiny new skin. Actually, I quite like it. Very muted colour scheme, a little bit of gold highlights, some numbering and lettering and wording on the wings and the extents. So yeah, I think that's a nice looking paint, albeit very understated. Yeah, chuff with that. And I don't own one, so I'm not getting one. I'm just saying it's nice for them to recognise that people are doing that. And I think one of the kind of important things, or one of the interesting things that I saw as this came out was someone suggested, and I think this is a really nice idea, is that for everyone, regardless of whether or not they own an F8C, for everyone who redeemed the golden ticket, it would be really cool to get a golden ticket commemorative item attached to their account. So like hangar flare, right? And just the golden ticket. It already exists in the game. They've got the assets for it. All they've got to do is remove the interactivity with the terminal. And that's it. And I think that would be a really nice way. And then, you know, kind of whenever this game launches, however many years into the future, you've got some newbie running around your hangar with you, and they're like, "What's that?" And you can, you know, be that old crusty person who's, "Sit down, my son, I'll tell you a story." You know, stay a while and listen, and you do the whole. This is what the golden tickets were. This is how we used to get our F8Cs back in the days when, you know, we were only on, you know, fiber optic and not whatever the hell will be in whenever this game launches. So that would be a really cool idea, but it's a nice way, I think, of recognizing those that have gotten to this stage already. And then for those of us that are just going to earn it in Squadron, it's the risk you take when you don't get the ship. So yeah, there's that. And exactly that, AV. AV says the F8 is nice. It's definitely not worth $300. When the Gladius arrows are under 100, it's just not nearly good enough. Certainly not at the moment. I think, you know, expect it to improve quite dramatically. There's such imbalance on fighters and, well, everything at the moment, but I expect them to kind of there to be a massive rejig before 1.0 hits. But even so, you know, some of us just I just want to earn it in game. I want to earn it through Squadron, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, Duncan 40k, Widget, Stimpack, a couple of others that have snuck in. Marlax 101. Hopefully that's everyone. But yes, good evening, welcome in. Happy purchase week, says Widget. Exactly that. Wooter. So yes, so what they've said is that the F8 will be achievable or earnable in game through extra stuff. So it's not a completion reward. So it's perfectly possible you can complete Squadron 42 and not get the F8C. There are going to be other things in game that you have to achieve in order to be, and then what you won't be awarded the ship. What you'll be given is the ability to then purchase it in game, without the rep walling and everything else. Okay, so it will be like something that is added to your account permanently, in your game account like anything else, but you still have to buy it with in-game money. So there's that. And there is a video of it, and it's around about the time they brought out the F8C. So if you have a look back then, it was definitely Chris Roberts was talking about it, and there's a couple other people that talked about it as well. It will still be. They have not removed it as an achievement reward for Squadron 42. It's just been sold in addition to. Duncan 40k says, I'm a little in two minds about things that were supposed to be exclusive to in-game event rewards as well. This is the F8C. I hope it doesn't become F7 upgrades for cash. Agreed. Exactly that. Oh, interesting. So even if the F8C is sat in your buyback, Citizen Ninja, you still get the paint. Is that effectively what she said? Let's have a look. You said it was further down in the Oh, this is really cool. So this was the post that I looked at. F8C change neat, cool, but the golden ticking requirement was getting tedious. But any chance you might consider giving an account-bound copy of the golden ticket as hanger flare? So this was Shisley, and I think there's a couple of other people that said that they were in it as well. And Freya said this is awesome. We've forwarded the request, but no promises. So that would be really cool if they do it. Hopefully they can track it correctly, because if they can't track it, I'd imagine they just won't go down that route. So I don't know what else was said. So if you previously unlocked the F8C4 pledge by turning in a golden... So does that mean everyone... See, okay, so the question is very much about people who bought it. Swerve says, will the F8C skin be attributed only if the F8C is currently pledged? Or will it be attributed if it's in buybacks? I.e., so if I've bought it and then melted it and it sits in my buybacks to buy it to get it back, does that also award the skin? The answer appears to be anyone that did a golden license. If you've previously unlocked the F8C4 pledge by turning in a golden license, you will get the paint even if you've melted the ship. That That's interesting. Scotty, sorry, mate. I saw you come in and I didn't say it. Alex Moore, hello. Yes. So it looks like, according to that, now this is what I don't like is that, the answer is if you've unlocked the F8C for pledge by turning in a golden license ticket, you'll get the paint. Which actually, well, holy crap, I don't get to say this often. That's a good idea. Exactly what Luna Maria said. That's cool and smart. Because what you also do, you kind of entice those with it to go, fuck it, I'll buy it, or I'll whatever, right? I don't think so. There's some chat about like, will it be CCUable and all that sort of stuff. I'd be very surprised. Stopping short, widget, before you start of eating anything, but I would be surprised if that happens. I don't think we're going to get a CCU, but that's a really nice thing. So that's the commemoration for all of us who have gone and got golden licenses. And I made a point. I mean, anyone in DGP will tell you I'm absolutely a loot goblin. I run around, I do all that sort of stuff anyway. But that's cool. So if you handed in a golden ticket by Anvil Day, now I don't think I've got any left. I think they got wiped out of my account, and I haven't seen any for some time. But if yeah, exactly that, Duncan 40k. Exactly that, my friend. That's where I think we are. The End MPS, welcome in. Good morning, Chris. Hello, Mark. Excellent. Well done for sneaking in there, mate. I almost missed you, but I got you in the end. So yes, very cool. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. I think that's and like I said, for someone who's never intended to pledge for it, I want to earn it in game. I want to be one of those guys. That's really nice because what CIG are doing there. Yeah, we could be cynical and say that they're doing it to attempt people to pledge. If just giving people a paint was all it needed to push them to pledge for a $300 ship that you can't CCU to, like you were so close anyway. I just don't think I don't think that's a non-issue, right? A paint is not enough to get me to stump up $300 for a ship I'm going to go earn in game. But I think that's really nice because what it recognises is every single person out there who went and did the golden ticket thing, who went to go and just try the ship, they're going, hey, you did something in game that people can't do anymore, that people, they're not required to do anymore, but we want to recognise that you did it, so have the paint. And they're recognising that we'll all get to use that because now maybe people who have gone, I'm not really bothered about doing that in the game in Squadron 42, those that are like that, some of them might now be thinking, well, if it gets me to show off something that I've done in game that people can't get anymore, there's definitely a value to those sorts of things in a game. So that's a really nice touch by CIG. Well done. Good job. Nemoticon, good evening. Good to see you. So yeah, there's all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to get into the whole F8C thing, or if I've got time, we'll do it at the end. The problem with F8C is anyone who said that they promised anything was only listening to 50% of what they said. Right? So the whole around the F8C, they said just as much one way as they did at the other, and yes, that's not great by them because they're relying on you to listen to everything they say in order to know what the hell is going on. But that doesn't change the fact that that's what they've said. You know, not hearing someone say something doesn't mean that you nullify what they said when you didn't hear it. That's not true, right? So yeah, did they see you get the F8A by finishing Squadron 42? Yeah, so Wooter, we'll see if I can find a link for that a little bit later on. But yeah, the F8C in terms of being a promise, it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, and there's actually an old post on that old forums before they put Spectrum in where Jared specifically said we always reserve the right to sell stuff. Which, yeah, sure, that's a bad idea because it's on a forum post and it was in response to something, so you can't trust that a lot of people have seen it, but the fact remains that they've always been saying that they might sell it. And all this came out around about the time that you announced it for pledge anyway. What was really good fun was to watch some content creators actually open the bits where they disagreed with what they were saying, and they just kind of skipped over it like it didn't exist and expected their audience to miss it, which didn't happen. So just saying. And if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. If you know, you know. So yeah. So. So I think the F8C router basically is going to be one of the rep locked, like highest rep levels with the UEE Navy, potentially. But yeah, sweet. Better than the pink from the IAE last time the F8C won. Yes, I was not a fan of that skin. I agree. So yeah. Sorry, screaming through. Nothing screams military like pink paint. Yeah, you should see some of the Japanese helicopters with the anime versions of their pilots painted on the side. Or maybe that was just AI generated. That sounds AI generated. But then again, they can't do CCUs if they're limited. They tried with the glaive and it doesn't work. When you beat Arena Commander Vanduul Swarm, says AV, and buy a CCU for the glaive, you could buy 5 at a time, so it wasn't limited at all. Yeah, that's not good. Unless it just limits you when you apply them. But yeah. I just want CCU to exploration content or data running. Agreed. Proper exploration content, absolutely, and data running. I'm really interested to see what that'll be. So yeah, I'm just going to script through. Okay, so I think we're kind of catching up. Charlie McCulson, welcome in. Good to see you, buddy. So yeah, so that's where we are with this. There's a few other bits in here that it might be worth picking up on because it's kind of major news. So we are getting Twitch drops. We'll come back to that because I've got that on the next tab, I think. This is key. Okay, so I was actually going to put the Gatak Railen on the thumbnail and make a big thing of it, but I couldn't do that without making it look like I was suggesting it was going to be released at IAE, and that's not fair. So I'm not going to do that because I don't like being accused of doing clickbait. I certainly don't like doing clickbait. So there will be price jumps. So after 29.55, all right, after this IAE, these ships are going up in price. The Hull A and B, the Argo Raft, and the Gatak Railen. Now, that doesn't mean to say that they are immediately coming or coming very quickly, because the A is out, the Raft is out, and I think the B is being worked on, but that doesn't mean the Gatak Railen is. This looks much more like they're trying to adjust the prices of the ships that they have. And they are trying to, especially in the cargo space, to adjust for how much cargo these ships have. I have taken a punt on a couple of speculative CCUs to the Hull B. I can't remember what from. Probably Cutty. Can't remember. Or the Cuddy Red. Basically, because I'm expecting that to jump significantly in price once it's released. Significantly in price. And that might be worth considering. Although that's it. What I will do is, I don't like giving out financial advice and stuff like that, especially about whether or not a ship is worth it. What I'm going to do at some point, obviously, the stream on Thursday when IE kicks off, I probably will stream, and that will be all about the damn Perseus, right? And whatever other RSI ships, plural, arrive. But we are going to take the Perseuses out somewhere, and we're going to go cause some havoc, and that will be fun. After that, what I'll probably do the following day, for whatever that is, there's not a ship launch due for that day, so what I'll do is I'll take you through my fleet, where I am, all the CCUs that I own, and why I'm doing stuff, because I can talk about, for me, what's value. The bit at which I lose all credibility is where I try and tell you what's value for you, right? Because that doesn't make sense. It's a game, I don't know what's value for you. So that's what we'll do, and I'll talk about what I'm doing and why I've got a couple of CCUs, which are, the whole point is to ride price increases when they happen. And we know that those prices increases are going to happen based on CIG's current model. So we'll talk about that maybe on Friday, and that might be useful. There will be daily war bond deals, that's no big surprise, and there will be these stock limited ships. Let the F5 wars commence. It's going to go crazy again. I'm not going to compete for any of this nonsense. However, Here we go. So your first wave is at 1600, so that's 4 p.m. UK time, and then every 4 hours following. So you basically get 6 per day options to buy, and then day one will be the Connie Phoenix, day two the 890 jump, day three Kraken and the Kraken Privateer. Nothing on day four. Day five will be the Hull E. Nothing on 6. 7 will be the Consolidated Outland Pioneer, the base building ship. Nothing on 8, and then 9 will be the Idris P and the Javelin. Craziness. Absolute craziness. Yeah, lots of big ships in there to go pledge for, or not, as the case may be. Entirely up to you guys. But the F5 wars will commence if you're in there. What we figured out, and what Edison helped me out with, was when we were looking at. So this actually worked when we were trying to get to IAE last year. I missed the first 2 IAE tickets, and what we figured out at the time was my internet connection wasn't great, so I actually got Edison to jump on his internet, which is incredibly fast over in Denmark, and he got me my ticket, which was great. So yeah, I trusted him with my money and stuff, and card details. But yeah, he went and bought that, and a sports car for himself. Ravenfort, good evening. Malemba, hello, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah, and anyone else that I've missed, I do apologise. I'm quickly scanning. I think I'm up to date. But AV Stunner, I've said hi to you guys as well, I think. If not, hello. Cool. So there's that. But, price increases, big news. Please, please, please get the word out, because there's nothing worse than finding out people that knew about the price increase and didn't tell you when they know that you want that ship. So if you know anyone who wants any of those ships, get them, let them know now. And that'll be the key thing. So, loads of invite friend stuff, which is great. And then the new player stuff. I would love to. I'm just going to cover this very, very quickly because Wooter, you asked. Oh no, sorry, Groofus, you asked about this. I don't want to turn this into a thing, but there's a reason at the moment that I can't get videos out, and unfortunately, it's nothing to do with the videos. It's all to do with me. So I am doing my best to keep up. I would love to do some sort of new player guide ready for IAE to help people get ready for the game and sort of stuff. And it would be a bit of a departure. The reason I'm saying this to you guys is because I don't want you to think that video comes out and all of a sudden I've pivoted to all the newbies. I want to chat with you guys, the people that have been around Star Citizen and are very invested in it. And people who want to become very invested in it in terms of their time and their knowledge, not necessarily their money. No money required. But that's what I want to do with you guys. That's what I'll continue doing with you guys. But I think every so often, a video for all of our collective knowledge to be put into something, a video for new starters, and maybe, just maybe, what I'll do is I'll add a Discord channel. And I will invite you guys to give your tips for new starters. And then what I'll do is when I give those tips in the game, I'll have your name or your handle pop up in the bottom of the screen. So it's credited. The people know I'm stealing your ideas for a video. But that'll be really cool because there is so much knowledge and it's not all in one person. There's loads of tips and tricks and all that sort of stuff. So that might be quite good fun that we put a community video together to get people started. But that's that. Right. I just said that we were looking at... Oh, I got flashbanged. Good Lord. Why? Chrome's in dark mode. Why did it just flashbang me? I'm blind. That was rude. So, Star Citizen Twitch drops. It's a thing. So from the 20th, there are going to be Twitch drops. So as long as you link your account with Twitch, which you can do through your account page, then watching through your Twitch stream for 4 hours will give you this, which is kind of cool. So this armor set is the Geist armor set with a new color on it, a new skin. But instead of the Geist helmet, which I know is very divisive, they've put a Aztalan helmet on it, which is this thing, and again, new skin. So that's kind of shiny. I like that. I can't remember what they said it was. Yeah, there's something in there somewhere anyway that tells you what it's about. So this is how you attach it. Go down to your linked accounts, add Twitch, okay, and then that's it. Just watch for 4 hours. Obviously, I don't stream on Twitch, and that's very unlikely to happen. We can talk about that later if people want to. But you can go and watch at any point during IAE November 20th through December 3rd. Free armor, and I'm not going to lie, that's a good looking set of armor. Yeah, it's got a couple of swells and things on it, which people might find quite ostentatious. But I think that's actually quite a nice suit of armor. Shame no hood or cloak. Yeah, absolutely. You don't get to look like futuristic Batman. Shiny armor will get you killed. Viper Leo, no truer word ever spoken. So there's that. So yeah. It was the red, I think, AB up to my to Holby. I got 2 of them, but they weren't new money, so I can't gift them. So I might do a couple of new money investments, and then, well, you know where that goes, right? Cool. No, don't tell them the price goes up and they save their money instead. Well, I mean that's true. That too. That's true, Chavez. So there's that. New player tip: Alt F4 isn't always a troll bit. I mean, it kind of is. So yeah, exactly that, Duncan. That's a really good point. Find a friend with all the expensive ships that you want and use theirs. Absolutely. Cool. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly that, Wouter. Open a stream in a tab and do whatever you want. So, this is really weird in that the game itself is not something that I watch a lot of. I watch people, like, I love watching Astropub and, the Astro Historian and his bits. I still watch Info from time to time and the other discussion pieces. What I don't tend to watch is the gameplay so much, because if I'm that into Star Citizen, I'd rather be playing it. So yeah, I'll be opening a tab somewhere and just kind of watching along, and it achieves the same for everyone, right? They get the views, CIG gets the exposure, well, through other people, and yeah, I feel like I'm doing my bit for CIG's exposure, right? I feel like I can justify getting a free set of armor that's costing them nothing to reproduce for me. So yeah, Amy says, I will say I like the armor a decent bit. The chest really looks funny like that, but you only get armor upper quarter chest, and you're good. Nothing critical lower than that, eh? Well, I mean, that's it, right? Absolutely. There's nothing in this region that would be, problematic if they shot it. Oh no, wait, there's quite a bit. But yeah, exactly that. Popular streamers who CIG gross with the feature will get a lot more attention, no doubt. Smaller streamers may be left hanging. I hope not. I hope that just streaming the game is enough for them. But yes, you're right. Favoritism would be bad. So yeah, it's a nice set of armor. Just not convinced I'm a fan of CIG going to the Twitch drops for shiny armor sets models. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have a problem with it. I'm not. It's not like they're doing it for gifted subs or anyone who subscribes. There's no money behind it. You can create an account fairly comfortably without it being a massive issue. So yeah, I hate Twitch and won't be on it. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest issue I think is the platform for some people is problematic. So yes, there's that. So yeah, they need one that is Knight Rider themed or Cylon, with LEDs and all. I mean, yeah, IP infringement? Question mark. Fail missed everything till now. Says Rash, your fault. Why the Warship's got the best of me. I mean, I hate the player, man. Hate the game. I'd rather listen to proper discussion, says Viper Leo, of loudmouth idiots rather than instead of loudmouth idiots trying to play the game. I thought when you said loudmouth idiots, I thought you were talking about Daily Noob and my CitizenCon stream, the CitizenCon Direct one, where we both got drunk and I might have fell asleep at one point. But yes, there's that. At least the twist drops are free. Exactly that. If it's just a skin and doesn't give anything different from the same gear, I see no issue with it. And I also don't like Switch. It is what it is. Yeah, exactly that. Is it all streamers who cover SC that will benefit from the Twitch drop deal? I didn't know that. I approve if that's the case. So, what I do happen to know is that with certain games, so because I know someone who's streaming on Twitch, she has found out that just being in those games enable drops. It won't necessarily be something that you're reached out to in advance. You might be, you might not. So I think publishers and kind of developers can do it either way. They can announce it and select people and do I know Tarkov have done this quite a bit where they have like this rolling schedule of creators, whereas other people it could just be anyone who's streaming that game in that category will be able to do so. So yeah, they just need 2 golden balls on the inseam. Wow. Yeah, that too. Any streamer can do this Twitch drop, but a streamer's opt in. Yeah, so is it an option then that they tick, which is great. If that's the case, perfect. Yeah, so it's an opt in. Yeah. So that's it. So they opt in rather than being selected. Obviously, some of the Twitch drop stuff is also selected. It'll be again, like I say, Tarkov will say to people, we're only going to do these streamers, and that's why Tarkov have sometimes these rolling schedules of creators, and that's one of the games that I do like to watch because I'm crap at it. So I get my Tarkov fix through watching other people play it, especially people like Landmark, rather than playing it myself. So yeah, do I plan on getting the Perseus? I have it. So at 1600 on that day, when RSI goes live, when IAE starts, as many Parsi I as we can do, we are going to get them together and we're going to go and cause havoc. A massive group of Perseus. So yes, I was lucky enough to be given a Perseus by some very generous members of the community back when I was with InfoRunners. They ambushed me on a stream with it. So Algorid, Execute, Can, Edison, Del Kenobi, and a number of others, absolute heroes. All I have a Perseus, and yes, I have the Thundercloud paint for it. So we'll be seeing that. I'll probably do a little bit of a stream, certainly for each of the days of the ships where we've got new ships. I'll be live as the time switches across. We'll do what I've done before, which is I'll park my character ready to go at Orison. I'll go live. We'll discuss the website first when the sales come up, and then we'll go and have a look at the ships in game. For the days where we've got stuff that isn't new, with manufacturers where all the ships are already released, I will see and I'll let you know, because I've got to be careful that I don't push myself too hard at the moment. So we'll see. But yeah. But we'll have a look. If everyone uses the Perseus, who will crew it? I don't know. But I don't want to get rammed by 17 Perseus either, because I feel like that might hurt quite a bit. So we have tactical options. They might not, though, just might not be ones CIG approves of. But yes, that's going to be good fun. I'm away, won't be able to see the Perseus for a week or two. That's a shame, Rash. What I'll do is I'll drop some images in the Discord. So anytime you're able to check, if you are able to check, then you'll be able to see it there. Every year we shall gather and blot out the sun, says Marlax. Nice. Exactly that. Off topic, but if you like Tarkov, try Arc Raiders. I hate extraction shooters, but that game is golden. I'll have a look in that case. I'll have a look and see what it looks like. I've seen a little bit being streamed by other people. I jumped into Landmark's stream without realizing he was in Arc Raider, so I watched that for a few minutes. But yeah, it looks interesting. You need a fleet of escort fighters to accompany your Perseus? Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what those new weapon systems do precisely. The other interesting question around the Perseus is it comes as standard with blades. Is there a chance that they work? I don't know. But given the fact that NPC turrets work, it'll be what they need to do is they need to add the option for us to turn that on and off and designate targets potentially, although it could just do what PDCs do and go after anything that's remotely hostile, but we'll have to see. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not even really saying that I think it is, but it's always an outside chance. It wouldn't be the first time they've surprised us with a ship coming in and adding functionality with it. So yeah, there's that. You need a fleet of escort fighters to accompany your Perseus. Sorry, yes, I literally just said that out loud. Derp. You only get to fly your Perseus if it's Thundercloud. If you don't have the paint, you're only enough of Perseus fan to be crew. I mean, possibly. But yeah, no. If people want to be crew, they can jump on. That's all fine. So yeah. The PDT is pretty much confirmed. See them on the video, on the trailer. So the only question that seems to be outstanding is how many are there, and a lot of people think that that's kind of been answered already, but we'll have to see. Monster Avy says, not gonna lie, I kind of wish I had the paint, but at the same time, I never intended on spending enough money in the game to even get the Percy. Yeah, how did that work out for you, Avy? Yeah, how's that going? How's it going for you? Huh? Yeah, so that's that. I thought it was an option to add blades. So yes, it will come equipped with them. Obviously, you can pull them out if you want to, but it comes equipped as standard with blades and the remote turrets. It also seems to indicate on the FAQ that the manned turrets can be bladed. So go figure. But we'll have a look at that later if people call bullshit on me. What would the hit points on the Percy be compared to the Polaris? Close, above or below? Below, I would imagine. Yeah, so at the moment it's really hard to tell. I think what the Polaris will have more hit points. The Perseus, in my head, the way this works is the Perseus will have a higher requirement for damage. In other words, you might look at one size up in terms of the weapon required to damage the Perseus than you would for the Polaris, because the Perseus is described as having exceptionally heavy armor for its class. That doesn't mean it's got more armor necessarily, but that's just the way it's reading for me. So yeah. Oh my god, the practical joke of soloing a capital ship, it just kills me. Yeah, absolutely. Although, of course, the Perseus is a large, not a capital. But yes, it's a little bit daft. I would suggest if you're taking the Perseus out with any less than 3 crew, certainly 4. Sorry, 4 crew. I would think certainly 3. Then you're doing it wrong. So yeah. Stimpack says, when ship blades are available, do you think CRG will sell blades on the store? Yes. Although I think they have learnt from the last time, and I think they will simultaneously make them available in-game stores. So just like armor, you will be able to go and buy it for real, or you can buy it in the in-game store. So yeah, can't wait for actual armor coming in. It will change so many things. Absolutely, it'll certainly start pushing things in the right way. Can the blades on the Perseus be used in other ships? I would imagine in the first iteration not, although I don't know. We'll have to see. What would be really nice, wouldn't it, is when they bring it all in, that it all works at the same time. That, you can add AI blades to remote turrets, and they work in remote turrets up to the size specified in any ship that has remote turrets and a space in the computer for a blade. That would be really, really cool. I think what we're lacking there are things like the interfaces. The Perseus would be easy because you just say, if no one sat in the remote turret seats and there's power to the weapons, they work. The problem then is where you've got ships who have an uneven number or an unequal number of blade slots and turrets. Because what you then need to do is you need to be able to tell your ship this blade to that turret, please. And if you don't have that, you can't really do it, because which turret is it? You don't want that to be random. And we lack the interface for that. Maybe we'll get that at engineering, but I don't know. So I think initially, and this is a big if, the Perseus remote turrets are able to fire independently, I don't think that will be transferable across straight away. What I do expect, though, is the blades that are in those turrets, once blades are implemented across the range, will be able to swap out and go into any ship. Maybe there's limitations on the size of turrets. Maybe there's limitations on whether it can control twin or single or quad even. But outside of those limitations, if you've got two turrets with twin size threes, one on this ship and one on that ship, I would expect the blade will be interchangeable between them as long as you've got the spaces in your computer to take that blade. That's my guess, because otherwise it becomes incredibly complex and mismatched, and not there's not even that level of kind of uh, what's the word? There's not even those degrees of separations between components on ships. All you've got is whether or not it will fit is down to the size component, right? That's it. That's all you've got, and then whether or not you've got enough power to power it, but that doesn't stop you putting it in. That's what she said. Sorry, sorry, sorry. That's just a reflex, and now I'm Michael Scott from Dunder Mifflin. Good. Mackie Moves, hello, buddy. Good to see you. So yeah, wonder how maneuverable the Perseus will be compared to the Polaris. Maneuverability is that ship's question. So yeah. Hit points don't necessarily translate into more or less time to kill, in my opinion. Certainly shouldn't. Absolutely. Charlie McCorsham says, I'll slow down on Blades. What I meant by last statement is that it now comes with PDTs instead of blades. Maybe there's a low chance the size 3 can be bladed, but I highly doubt it. I don't know. I don't know. Because the intent is still apparently to be able to blade turrets. Although they, or at very least, they haven't said that there's another intent. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Scotty Gust says, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about soloing cap ships. It stems back to CIG selling large ships based on the promise of NPC crews. Yeah. So I guess it depends on what you mean by soloing, right? There's soloing as in, hey, I can get my Hully and I can load it up by myself, although it will take you a month. I can load this thing up by myself and I can fly it from one very high security system to another very high security system, and I can unload it. And although that will take me probably, half a working year, I can do it. That I don't have a problem with. Every time a system breaks, you stop the ship, you get out, you repair the system, you get back in the seat, you start the ship up, and you go. I don't see a problem with that happening. Where it starts to become dodgy is when you talk about, running a hammerhead with blades in combat, with one person in the pilot seat just flying it around, and then the rest of the ship being automated. To me, that massively undermines this whole idea of multi-crew ships playing with friends, playing with groups. And of course, there's going some people are going to go, well, hang on, that stops me using a hammerhead if I don't have the friends for it. Yes. And there's no caveat to that. There's content in every game that is gate kept from you if you don't have the people to do stuff, right? And again, I'm going to go back to one of the earliest versions in WoW Vanilla. If you didn't have 40 people, you couldn't go kill Ragnaros. And sure, there's looking for raid and all stuff like that, but you're still being put in a group with a bunch of people to go and do that. Pickup groups happen all the time, and if that happens to you when you go and do a hammerhead and you end up with a pickup group of 9 people, that's what happens. I certainly, the idea that we should be running around solo crewing Idrises is ridiculous. I really, at the moment, I'm not even a fan of the fact that the pilot controls the chin turret. I think that needs to be someone else. But what do I know? So there's that. Marlax, I like that. Percy should be able to use its turrets to move like the tank from the A team when it's parachuting, using the tank to shoot itself into a lake or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. AO Blade in the Paladin will be funny. When will the turret switch from top to bottom? Good question, well asked. I guess it stays fixed in that position, maybe? I don't know. Maybe the AI is smart enough for it to move around. No clue. Given at the moment the fact that anything with like swept wings, like the Scorpius, seems to go into combat with everything swept back, I don't hold up much hope for the whole moving turrets, but we'll see. So, Monster says, plus the number of server blade slots used for guns versus support functions like life support, navigation, scanning, etc. Yeah, there's plenty of ways to limit it. You could absolutely see, ships maybe there's versions of like the Hully that could have a combat slot in it to be able to automate one of their turrets. I can see that, but ships like maybe the 890 Jump, it's got PDCs. Maybe it wouldn't have combat slots in it because you'd imagine all the computers are going to be given over to things for the supporting the VIP passengers and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Higher NPCs. Rash Mordor says, yeah, I think the interesting thing with the idea of NPC crew is we don't have any details. So not only are we hoping that that's still the case, and we don't know because it hasn't been talked about for a long old while. We don't know how many NPCs you can hire, what the drawbacks of that are. Other than they will obviously be nerfed to an extent where player crews will be more effective than NPC crews. Hopefully that's self-explanatory. So yeah. I see the argument for it to still like it to be less crew dependent. I mean, possibly. I think, the whole. This game was always sold on multi-crew ships and the fact you could walk around them and all that sort of stuff. That they were modelled to an extent. And the social interaction, the part of that being a crew, I think, is so fundamental to the core of the game that you could, in theory, rip all of that out and still have a game. The question is, how good a game would it be? And my guess would be not that good. So yeah. So Blades of the Devil to social interaction in this game, says Charlie McAwesome. I know I'm the minority, but I hope they go away. I'm old and grumpy. I think social interaction in this game is really, really important. So, I talk about this with Sea of Thieves, right? So Sea of Thieves made a mistake, in my opinion. This is the game from Rare, the pirate game, very cartoony, but actually there's a really solid game under all of the looks and the cartoony graphics. The water looks stunning. Driving the ships is so satisfying. What they did was they implemented they implemented PVE servers, and to my mind, it was not doing well. Whilst I completely respect that some people want to play those games, and there are horror stories of like dad playing with his kids, right, and they're on a ship, and then they just get jumped by some weebs who are swearing, saying all the things under the sun. Dad tells them, hang on, I'm playing with my kids, and it makes them worse. So for those people, PvE servers are a really, really good idea. I tried the PvE servers, I hate them, because it took away that constant threat of other players. And whilst I wasn't going and pirating other people, the idea that pirates would come up to me and then I'd have to maneuver the ship to get away from them and escape them and have that extra level of threat, that elevated Sea of Thieves to a point where it just couldn't achieve that during PvE. And I think Star Citizen is going to be the same thing. That having a signal coming in, scanning it, trying to determine their intent, I think that's going to be a lot of this game. And trying to figure out, especially when you look at the rep disadvantages, the idea of death of a spaceman, permanent death, or permadeath, all that sort of stuff. Those things they're working to raise that PvP tension. That stress of, do I get involved, don't I? Is this the right situation? Rather than just YOLO, run in and get killed. Do people still say YOLO nowadays? Well, I do, so tough. But you see what I mean, right? So I think it's really dangerous if they take away the stuff like that. Douglas McAllister, sorry, I saw you in earlier and I didn't say hello, so apologies. Good evening, welcome in. Same to Jay Grizz, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Haven't spoken to you in a while, my friend. Hope you're all right. So yeah, lots there to talk about or to look at. So CIGs has always said we'll be able to run NPC crew in the end, and someone can solo with NPCs. Yeah, I think the point there is up to what extent, right? I don't see them, for example, giving you a big enough NPC crew to run an Idris. I might be wrong, but I think that's going to be incredibly. I think that's incredibly optimistic to say that at this stage. Could you run a freelancer or a constellation? Probably. But there's even thoughts of people saying like this might be the reason to have multiple game accounts on one account, or multiple game packages, is that each game package gives you an NPC. And from what we know of CIG's marketing practices, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility for them to do that. So I think just being, bearing that in mind, maybe. I totally like soloing WoW raids. I do as when you do the old stuff, that's fine. But when you're looking at the raids that are of your level, you're just not doing them on your own. So YOLO or Leroy Jenkins. God, that's a blast from the past. So yeah. CIG stated NPC crews and they sold hundreds of millions in large ship to solos. It doesn't work to say too bad when they made promises. So here's the question, Scotty, from my mind is, when did they promise the number of NPCs that you would be able to take? And I think this is the bit where people need to be realistic about what was said, and whatever the quote is, my answer would immediately be prove it. So unless people can show me the video where it says you're going to get 20 NPC crew each, or there's going to be unlimited NPC crew, or you'll get 5 per game account, or you'll be able to buy more NPC slots for your whatever it is, right? I think that's the thing, is that this very much happened with the F8C, as they said at the same time, both it wouldn't be sold and it would be sold. Now look, when they changed that, so many people were adamant that they said it would never be sold and all that sort of stuff, despite posts from Jared that are still available today saying we'll never say never to selling something, we'll just say not for the time being, and that's what we've said, and that post still exists. We can go back and have a look at it. I think it was in one of my videos, so we can go and have a look at this stuff. So yeah, YOLO is out. Fish is the word, says Aranaj. I mean, possibly. So yeah, social is important, but CIG really needs to release the social features they showed at Sheridan Con last year. Seeming that would improve the game. Yeah, there's a lot there to in the social aspect that's lacking at the minute. I agree. Instancing will make it nice for that, says Rashmord. Or instance PvP or PvE areas, then you have focused high reward areas catering for both sides. Yeah, so there's no need to instance the PvP areas, right? There's no need to instance them. You just, people go in when they go in, and it means sometimes you go into a PvP area and you won't get attacked, and sometimes you'll go in there and it will be Gank Fest 2026. But certainly for things like Siege of Orison, where it was never intended to be, you can just tell from the way that event was set up, the amount of choke points they had in it, it was not set up to be a PvP zone. So there's that. Fan Fantasy, welcome in. Is it worth getting the F8C? I will let others talk about it. My understanding at the moment, mate, is that it's tough right now. Because it's not in a good spot with maneuverability and all that sort of stuff. So right now, if you're expecting to get the F8 and take it straight into a fight, you will be disappointed. However, if you're looking at that ship and going, I don't care whether it flies like a breeze block, I just want it for the design, then I guess it is worth it. It's going to be a thing. All I will say, mate, is that we are literally going into a free fly. Anvil Day, I think, is the 25th, but just double check that because I might not be remembering that correctly. Get a free fly one. Speak to, there's people in chat here that have one. Go and have a chat. Get a loaner from someone. They will literally just call the ship up and let you fly it. Right? Go try it. For the love of God, go try it before you put any money down. And that goes for any ship that isn't a concept. Try it before you throw money at CIG. So yeah. Fairly sure CIG said there'll be a limit, but they haven't figured out how many. Again, we'll find out. CIG stated NPCs could be hired and trained over time, like in other games. You just can say too bad to solos who literally funded the game. I think. Well, I mean, I think this is the bit where I've got to call Sky. I've got to say again, like the people won't necessarily forget. They just choose to interpret things in the way that they wanted to. And you saw that with particular streamers who basically showed a clip when they were trying to say that CIG never once said that we were going to sell it. They showed the clip where they said, "Oh, it might happen in the future, but we're definitely not doing it now." And they skipped over it and they didn't react to it at all. They showed it on stream, and he just clicked on said, "See," when they finally said what he wanted to say. And I think that's the thing, is that it's the whole confirmation bias stuff, is people lending more importance to the stuff that confirms what they believe than they do to the stuff that refutes it. And I think that's it. And again, like I say, the promise of there will be NPC crew, yes, absolutely. Will it be enough to crew the largest ships in the game? That was never stated. So again, the promise, is it promised, or have people basically read into it and gone, I think that's what they've said? And that's where the danger is with this. So yeah, it is getting buffed. That's the F8C and 4.4, says Space Saga. So yeah, ASDs does PvP very well. You don't often meet people, says Charlie McCawsome, but you did here and there. It was always in the back of your mind. ASD's great for it. I've had PvP fights in ASD. I've had friendly contact where, like, the minute we figured out each other were players, we then supported each other and healed each other and all that sort of stuff. I've been ganked. I might have, well, I didn't gank someone. I got attacked and I won that firefight and then nicked their stuff. Oh. So yes. So it happens. But yeah, there were two moments things like NPCs got mentioned, says the Eve Inspiration. One is early on, the second when the first versions of the Idris were made and it felt so empty. They talked about hiring NPC groups even. Yeah, again, I think, and this is why I'm so, go back to the whether or not people should buy stuff. This is why I'm so careful with what we say, because there is so much that is left deliberately vague. I think just because at the time they didn't know. If you'd asked them then, how many NPCs per player, they didn't have an answer for that question. It wasn't that they probably didn't even have a target for what they wanted. They just know that they want to implement that, and they will see as they go on as to what they can actually achieve, right? In exactly the same way as things with the optimizations they're making with server meshing. Do they know how many servers they're going to need to run everything at 1.0? No, because they're not quite sure of how optimized they can make things and all that sort of stuff. They've got to work on it. So yeah, F8C will be free to try. Yeah, anything that's flyable Fan Fantasy will be free to try. What you've got to do is got to go to Horizon, to the Expo Hall. You can catch a shuttle from the spaceport. This is from the 20th onwards. You'll catch a shuttle out there, and they will. You'll basically go up to the ship, you'll interact with them, and you'll hire them. And from the point you hire them, you get 48 hours with it. So yeah, plenty of time to give them a go and try it out. As long as you know you're not working and stuff like that. So yeah, do you think we're going to get anything at the end of IAE? Says Chandler Wilson. The last few, it just ended. All good stuff came at the start. The rumor of ages at the end, I think, is iffy. So they said in September, when they did the catch up, that there are no concept ships coming this year because they didn't have any in the pipeline, and they passed the point at which they could get something done by the end of the year. Only time will tell if that's true. Maybe that's intentional misdirection. Maybe they've managed to get something out in the meantime. But I'm willing at the moment to take them at their word. And I think that's likely. I don't think we're going to get ships. I think what we'll get on the last couple of days is what we've had before, which is we'll get a brand new slate of War Bond CCUs, and we'll get the armor stuff, and maybe they'll sell a package or two through the merchandise store, or sorry, the pledge store, for various things. But I think that's going to be it. I think what we think is coming out will be what comes out, and that will be that. There's already a lot of ships coming, and then you stack that up against everything else we've seen so far. We've had a new ship every month, every patch. So yeah, it's been busy, and I think that's probably all that we can get from them at that point. Remind me during IAE to buy up a Nautilus so I mine the jump points. I think you're going to get in some trouble with that. I mean, give it a go, but I think you're going to get in trouble. The End MPS, welcome in. F8C is not usually free to try, but just asking Game Trap. Yeah, I thought it was free to try. Was it not? Oh no, it sits in the... No, wait, I thought for the So they have the 999 squadron or Squadron 99 or whatever it is, one that sits in the room and that sits in the whole time. But I thought they did. Am I missing, or is that Fleet Week? But yeah, anyway, NMPS is saying that if you want to try it, and if you guys want to use Discord to arrange that, so you're not passing out personal details on chat here, then please do. But Discord links in the description. But yeah, if you wanna coordinate that, that'd be awesome. If not, feel free, fancy. If that doesn't work out for you guys, just jump in chat and in Discord and ask. There's more than enough people with them. I'm sure someone will sort you out with one, so you can have a fly. So yeah. F8C is good for PvE fights. Just as a PvP, you tend to get your backside handed to you, and that's great. So yeah, F8 is interesting. I don't see the limited to you one per account when Concierge already gives you two. So yeah, I mean they've said so in the FAQ. So at least at the moment that's intentional. Whether that's still the intent later on, I don't know. So yeah. Yeah, T-posing bots in turrets will look nice for those capitals. I mean, we don't talk about the T-posing bots, so that's that. So yeah, F8C is good for PvE fight 2. Yep, we did that bit. Scotty Gus says, I don't have the time to search COGs for the last 13 years, but if you type this info into Google, the AI will give you the crew training. Yeah, Star Citizen NPC crew will need to be trained. Not debating that at all. My question is, how many are you getting? Because if there is a limit, and we just don't know, but they haven't said that it will be infinite either. So if there is a limit, that will clearly limit the ships that you will be able to NPC crew as a solo. So that sort of stuff. I'm still sad we won't get the Ironclad this year. They still need to work to the end of February to finish the command module docking. Yeah, that. And not forget AI when talking NPCs. The AI bad guys in ARC make amazing bad guys and show how AI can be a boom for gaming. Can Star Citizen handle the processing, or are we stuck with script? Don't know. I guess that question will only really get a question to that, or an answer to that question, Charlie, when dynamic server meshing is in. Because if they can handle those that kind of processing of situations very, very quickly, and they can hand that off to dynamic server meshing, and then, when you've got lots of stuff happening in an area and loads of NPCs, they can just go, hey, this server is now just going to deal with the NPC stuff. Then great. Then they can do some fantastic things. If it's not that simple, if they can't do that with NPC, then they might have to dial them back. We won't know the answer to that until they've fixed that system. Right, give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna catch a drink because I'm running out of voice, and I should be back with you. It's only Diet Coke, I'm afraid. I'm being good. I'm staying off the alcohol for a little bit. But yes, there we go. Does that mean I need to change my title now? Am I just gaming problems? Non-drinker with gaming problems. Don't know. Answers on a postcard. So yeah. I remember the first mention of NPCs. That was about NPC slots and agent smithing. Yeah. So they were talking about being able to agent smith in Squadron 42 as well, weren't they? So that you could just jump into the multiplayer, or just jump in to help a friend by taking over one of their NPCs. Oh, I've lost the light on the side there. That's gone. That's a bit of a shame. So that lasts about an hour and 11 minutes. Okie dokie. Right, I'll pop on another light here just so we've got a bit more. There we go. But I've lost the dramatic side light, and now I'm just getting it's like I'm in a tanning salon. Not that I know what that feels like, of course. I'm the pastiest person on the planet. I'm basically, I'm fighting my t-shirt for whitest person. But yeah. Everything on the show floor is rentable. Unless it's new first. Yeah, so you get like the hollow models and stuff that you can't get to play, but that's about it. So yeah, so that's that stuff, and I think so there's this. I guess we can show this for just a second. So they're doing some podcast stuff, and this looks like it's going to replace Jax at least for a little while. So we have this podcast by Lexi Marlowe and Gail Kessler. So let's give this a listen very quickly.
Hey, Gail, I've got a question for you.
Shoot, kid.
You like talking ships?
What? You know I do. Hey, in fact, did you see that RSI has put a tactical
Then
basketball
you're
hoop in
gonna
the...
love talking shop.
Who are you talking to? That's the name of our show.
Join me, Lexi Marlowe, and my trusty sidekick.
Sidekick?
And
What's going
favourite
on?
gearhead, Gail Kessler.
Whoa, wait. Are you Is this an ad? Are you trying to get me in an ad, Lexi?
No.
For our own show? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. First you sell us out to anyone with a credit line and a jingle, cruise Lux, medical gowns, and now you're making me part of an ad? Lexi, I'm done. Damn it, Lex, I'm a mechanic, not some marketing mouthpiece. How many times do I
He'll
gotta tell
tire
you?
himself out, eventually. He usually does. Anyway, tune in to Talking Shop, live from Teacher's Ship Shop in Levski for our take on the IAE. Starts November 20th. I can't wait.
Lexi!
I'm going to go with controversial take here. Does that sound AI generated to anyone, or is that just me? Just saying. Right. So yeah, just catching up a bit. So yeah, future CPUs have good AI support, so eventually we'll get it. Could be 5 years out. Yeah, I think that the problem is that obviously a lot of the AI stuff will be done server side. Because it's got to be communicated to everyone else as well. I mean, I suppose they could make it client side. I don't know. But yeah. That audio clip makes me understand why they're griefers. Absolutely. Computer enhanced for sure, but not AI. Fair enough. I just thought, the first time I listened to it, I thought they weren't really reacting to each other. But then again, I guess they could just have read the scripts at separate times and not really interacted. And maybe it was the way they were overlaid on each other. But yes, it just sounded a little bit stilted. So it's that. Wooter says, if it makes you feel any better, my girlfriend also made me stop with alcohol, at least until the holiday, so I basically live off water or tea. Yeah, I mean, there's that. But no, I'm not, contrary to what you saw at CitizenCon, that's the drunkest I've been in quite some time. I'm just not in the mood, frankly, at the minute, so I'm just staying away with it. It's not like it's not like a health consideration or anything like that. It's just I'm good. You know, I've got the bottle of Kraken rum on the shelf up there behind me, and it's still sealed. I've got the bottle of whiskey that you saw at CitizenCon up on the shelf behind me, and it's got exactly the same amount of whiskey in it that it had at the start of CitizenCon, unless Daily Noob had some, in which case it's got exactly what it had after Daily Noob had his. That's that. So it's here if I want it. I just don't want it at the minute. So yeah, that's why it's like, and I won't do sponsored by Coke. But yes, that's why I'm on the fizz and not anything else. So yeah, there's that. Marcelo says, even they make a seemingly definitive statement about future gameplay, it's always in the greater context of this is what we want to do without knowing yet if we can. Yeah, I mean, I think they've got to be careful now because they're starting to talk about release. There are promises they can't make and statements they have to be very careful about making because it opens them up to liability. But I think the problem is that when they say, hey, you will have AI crew, giving people one AI crew member or two AI crew members fulfills that requirement because they haven't said anything else definitively. Anything else is conjecture or interpretation. So I think we just need to be a little bit careful, especially when you're talking about, we're talking about the big capitals, right? So we're talking about ships that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars at the upper end of Star Citizen's spectrum of pay, of what you pay for a ship. So I think people need to be really careful if they are making decisions based around NPC crew. Don't do it for big ships. Don't do it for anything, for any investment that you would be upset at losing, or that would cripple you at losing, I think. So there's that. So yeah, it sounded Levski. Yes, it is Levski. It absolutely, yeah, from Teacher's back office in Levski. So yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, spot on, bro. Unless you're an alcoholic, drink away. Definitely not an alcoholic. So that's good news. For me, it's the cost of bottles going up so much that I started sipping rather than drinking. Yeah, there's that as well. That makes sense. Eve Inspiration says, I just stopped drinking when COVID hit. Things were crazy, so I want to be in 100% control. Stayed so ever since. Exactly that. I like the social thing. Like, I'll have a couple of beers at friends' houses and stuff, but I object to the loss of control when I drink too much. So, yeah, there's that. And normally I got bored and wanted to be free from control during my weekends. And we kind of just, you know, we're considering the same thing, it seems. So yeah, there's that. And ta-da, right. So I think that's pretty much it in terms of what they said. Obviously, headlines again, because there's lots of people in chat at the minute. Misk Hull A, Hull B, Raft, and Railen, all going up in price after this IAE. It's the last chance to get those at the current prices. So if you've been sat on the fence, maybe that pushes you one way or the other. War bond deals coming, all your wave limited ships, and a new skin for the F8C Lightning, which seems to have been clarified to be anyone who achieved the golden ticket thing. You will now get this skin for your the Nightweaver paint for your F8C. Even if you don't have one, it seems to intimate. This post from Freya at CIG seems to be that anyone who got hold of the skin. Have I skipped past it? Have I just? I've skipped past it, haven't I? I've gone too far down, maybe. There you go. If you've previously unlocked the F8C for pledge by tying in a gold license and to rental kiosks, you will still get the paint. Although then she says, even if you still melted the ship. So maybe it isn't. It's a very confusing post, but it seems to be that if you've handed in a golden ticket, you will get it on the day that Anvil goes live, which is breathes in, goes up to this one. So Anvil Day is November 25th at 1600 UK time, 1600 UTC. That seems to be it, Rash, although it says even if you've previously melted it. I guess she's saying everyone gets the golden ticket, even if you've then bought one and then melted it. That seems to be what she's saying. But yeah. Widget, I can't have you saying anything that you might regret. Well, quite. I've learned my lesson. No, I haven't. I'm gonna put a pause in it so I don't end up eating something that I don't want to eat. That still has to happen. The sockening is incoming, I promise. So yeah. Best decision for players is just to keep the starters. I'll add spending more. I'm just gonna feel bad eventually once you get that next shiny thing. I mean, people will do what they do, right? It's a hobby, and people just got to do what they are. The only definitive advice I can ask you is, can you afford it, or is it going to cripple you? Because if the answer to that is I can't afford it, then for fuck's sake, don't do it. That's it. Other than that, it's hobbies, and people are grown-ups and they're going to make the decisions that they make. So yeah, considering you still get an F8C by some means in game, it's pretty good if you can get the paint via ticket redeem and not if the ship was in your hangar. Yeah. So I mean, it covers everything else, right? The only thing it won't cover is any purchase or any acquisition method past Anvil Day. So yeah. I believe it sounds like if you got an F8C through Golden Ticket or through spending, you get one, then it's gone. Yes, it is that. The other thing, though, is it seems to be if you redeemed the Golden Ticket, not just pledging. It's unclear, but we'll see. Afford getting used to eating oats and noodles at this point. I am Coffee Guru. Nice. Very, very cool. I am Coffee Guru. Have you met the Intergalactic Tea House? I feel like you two would either get on famously or it would be a fight to the death. But yes, Intergalactic Tea House. I'd keep an eye out for him. But yeah, I mean, it might be. Do you know what? I mean, on reflection, I mean, I don't know. Should we get to the bottom of this? Because I don't want this to be so. That said, we want to celebrate two groups of players: those who've redeemed a gold license and previously unlocked pledge access. Oh, that's exactly what it is then. So if you unlocked pledge access, full stop. Ew, golden ticket, that's confirmed. There you go. You unlocked pledge access, not that you pledged. Very cool. So there you go. Oh, on that, I think they said, I think they actually qualified that. There you go. This paint is not giftable, and only one paint will be awarded to each eligible player. So unless you got various F8s over various accounts, no, it's one paint per player, regardless of how many times you've unlocked it. So yeah. No, redeeming a golden ticket. So unlocked pledge access. That's what the golden ticket did. So the redeeming the gold license was going to the rental kiosk, inserting, and it would unlock it for 48 hours for you at that point. So that was redeeming the golden license. It then gave you pledge access, i.e. until you got the golden ticket, you couldn't buy an F8. So that looks to be very much like, and that's what it said, previously unlocked pledge access. So not that you've pledged. As long as you've unlocked it, you get the skin, which is a very good idea. Jelly Drifter, welcome in. Hello, buddy. Good to see you. It's account bound. Yes, it is. It's not giftable. Exactly that. So it's a reward for you for doing what you did. It's not then a tool to go and sell to people who've missed out on it. So, yeah, I actually quite like that. I think that's a nice little touch. Do you think the Vanduul will do a full all-out invasion into Nyx if we kill the kingship? You're talking about Pitchfork when the game goes live, right? Yeah, don't know. They could do so many cool things with that, but I genuinely don't know. However, what I will say is this: that in many games, I would say something like that is complete hopium, and people being over optimistic about the abilities of the game. I think with dynamic events, the intent for them to be triggered by when in-game, what the players are doing in-game actions, make conditions favourable for them. I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility, which is kind of cool, right? So, yeah. I like the account-bound way of doing things as Rash. Absolutely that. It sucks to be concierge with F8s, if multiple F8s if you only get one skin. You can only fly one at once. So there. Enjoy, Charlie. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah. So that's where we are. Nemoticon says, or Nemoticon? Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. I'm tired. I stopped buying ships from CIG 3 years ago. Playing with store credit is all I allow myself to do. Too much money spent on a lifetime of gaming. Absolutely. Although you will spend just as much per year on golf if you let yourself. If golf's your thing, than this, and in so many other ways as well. So everyone has their hobbies. I am a Warhammer 40k addict. I spend far too much money down that way, and now I've opened myself up to games like Bolt Action as well, Titanicus, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, hey, look, as long as you're not bankrupting yourself or screwing yourself over for the future, honestly, who cares? So yeah, not frinking saves money too, and drinking, Eve Inspiration. I now doubt what you said about drinking and not drinking. I think if you're calling it frinking, you probably are drinking. Just saying. If I were the Vanduul, I'd be more concerned about if players would hijack a kingship and if they managed to kill one. Fat fingers, exactly that. I sympathise, my friend. I'm right there with you. Yeah, so lots of stuff that they can do around those ships. So a couple other things to talk about then, and let's just jump back into the other one. You've got the ships and what they might be. And I'm just going to jump across to my Discord and have a quick read through my Discord channel, because we've got in the leaks and rumours what the ships may well end up being. And again, if you're not interested in this, although I assume that you are because you're in the IAE pre-game room, we have the Perseus, which we know is coming now. That's obvious enough because it's in the trailer. So, real dick move if they don't release it. The RSI Hermes, the Greycat MDC, the Kruger L22 Alpha Wolf, Drake Clipper, and RSI Salvation. These are not yet all confirmed. They are just what we believe has been data mined out of the game files. Excuse me. Ugh. So you have RSI Hermes, which appears to be, or the suggestions are that it might be some form of variant of the Apollo. They're certainly gods of the same category, so that's, you know, that could be what it is. Rusty Pigeon, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Wonder what you got to. So that could be a thing. A bit of a shame that the Apollo hull is not staying medical. But I'm sure, given the design of that ship, there'll be a lot of people very, very happy to see it. Greycat MDC, again, sounds like some sort of ground vehicle. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be. Let's have a look. It looks like it might be the mobile defense center equipped with missile racks. Maybe it's like some sort of MLRS or Katushka sort of setup. I suppose the Katushka would be great, or it would be Drake, right? Which is basically just a series of drain pipes with rockets crammed in them on the back of a trolley. If anyone knows what I'm talking about there. So yeah, there's that. The Golem cargo variant, interesting. I don't know if that's what the Clipper is. Because there's obviously that silhouette from CitizenCon a couple of years ago, but we'll see. Chief Paranoid Officer says, as an Apollo owner, I'm both torn and excited for a possible cargo Apollo, since cargo is a loop that I like. Yeah, it's a very nice ship internally. And I can see that center space, that large open lobby, when you first go into the medevac or the triage, it looks like wasted space until you consider the idea of putting players on basically stretchers or trolleys and then trying to move them around. That becomes a little bit more problematic, although the doors will still be problematic. But that sort of space makes sense. But if you take those modules away from it and open that entire central space out, there is a lot of room for cargo. It'll be interesting to see. How you load it, maybe it's a rear ramp, maybe it's a vertical lift below the ship, although that would severely limit it in height, because I think you can only basically fit a player under there with not a lot of headroom. So yeah, we'll see. So the Golem OX, really, really bizarre. Or the Golem Ox. Golem OX? I don't know. Bizarre. Yeah. Okay. The L22, so we know the Wolf is getting it appears to have had the fin removed. The little fin below it, because enough people hated it, they decided not to do it, and they've removed it. We know that there are other bespoke weapon options, just like the Tonk got other bespoke weapon options. So you can't now put any weapons into those bespoke slots. It has to be the ones that CIG chooses. However, it looks like those are coming now. This might just be a variant of the other one, which, to be honest, I think as long as you get the weapons as well, or you can get the weapons, so those who, the Alpha Wolf is just a weapons loadout, and the weapons are available separately. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's very, very cynical to release another version of the Wolf, which is better than the original Wolf, I think that's very cynical, given how much of a popular ship that it was. I wouldn't like that. I would have a bit of a Furious Ninja, hello, mate. Clippers are supposed to be four small, fast cargo ships. Yeah, so absolutely. Maybe it'll be that. It's certainly an interesting design, but all of the sneak peeks at the moment coming out seem to be of Drake engines and Drake kind of fixings and fittings. So they're certainly, I think, pushing out. Maybe they're expecting behind the Perseus and the RSI ships, the Clipper to be the star of the show. Maybe, don't know. Bespoke slots needs to be removed. It feels like a cash grab to me. So bespoke slots are an interesting way of being able to balance certain builds. I think it allows them to create certain ships like the Apollo, like the Apollo, like the Ion and the Inferno, without giving them access to every single size 7 that's ever going to be released. So it's an interesting balance mechanic. The fin is still there. It's just on a switch now. Still provides some atmospherics bonus someday. Yeah, possibly. Okay, so it doesn't pop out immediately. Well, thank God for that. So yeah. They could have just made the Wolf modular in the weapons. Exactly that. That's what I'm hoping that they've done. That the Alpha Wolf is just a weapon set rather than anything else. And then of course there's the RSI Salvation. Now what we're thinking. So apparently, based on its lighting setup, and this is, I'm just reading this out, so this is not confirmed. This is from another Discord, people just taking a guess. It seems to be somewhere between the Pisces and the Prospector in size. Okay, we have been told that RSI are going to do a salvage ship that will be like what the Golem is for mining. So a salvage ship that sits sub $100 that reduces the cost to entry to that profession. Because at the moment, if you want to get into salvage, you've got the Fortune or the Vulture as your first step, and they are both, the top end of a couple of $100. So yeah, I don't have a problem with the smaller ships coming in, because it reduces barriers to entry for people and means that if you want to come in and do salvage right off the bat, it might not be as cheap as getting an Aurora or a Mustang or whatever when the Aurora comes back on sale. But I said but. It will certainly be cheaper than $165, $175. So that's good news. It'll probably be for Alpha Strike to take down shields with energy weapons before the L-21 finishes them off with ballistics as Citizen Ninja. I just hope the Alpha's fin isn't bigger as its name implies. Absolutely. I hope they'll be priced equally to the Golem. Yeah, exactly that, Wooter. And again, I don't have a problem with that sort of stuff coming into the game, because it reduces that sort of it reduces that obstacle for people, right? And I don't want people to have to pay $200 just to get into a gameplay loop. I mean, there's always going to be stuff where you have to, right? Medical. I mean, you've got the Pisces C8R, but for some things, oh well, I want to get carrier gameplay. Where's my $70 carrier? It's like, yeah, good luck with that. That's not going to happen. But yes, so there's that sort of stuff, and people kind of need to bear that in mind as well. So yeah. Okay, so those are the ships. I think we've covered them all, haven't we? $70 carrier would probably be a grey ship. Absolutely. Thoughts on the Perseus's new Polaris-looking armor? I think that's a design language thing. I don't think we can take anything from that Vibe in terms of gameplay or indication as to how the armor is going to perform. I think it's being done like that to look like another RSI warship. that seems to be very much like a design language thing. I'd still love the Golem even to have a bespoke mining head. Besides, the names are kind of funny. Versus the Misfortune, the Misfortune, yeah, and the Salvation, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nice, right? $80 Nomad can carry a couple of snubs, maybe, possibly. Stunner says, what does Badgers know? Nomad with Fury back at $80 carrier. Oh, Jesus. Well, don't get me started on the whole carrier thing, because then someone's going to bring up the Liberator and I'm going to get angry, so let's not. It looks good, but not as good in my opinion. No, absolutely. And I mean, I've already seen people whinging about like the color scheme and stuff like that. We'll just have to see. I am excited though to see what paints we get with the Perseus, because I might end up a little bit of a nerd when the paints come out and just like I might do my Pokemon impression and try to catch them all, you know. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Thundercloud paint. I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I wouldn't have a whinge if they brought the Thundercloud paint back, because I think it's so good. It would be cool if a lot of people got them. At the same time, I know people will be like, no, got to keep it for ourselves, and I get that too. It would just be really fun to watch all of the third-party resellers have a bit of a fucking, heart attack when all of a sudden you can get it for $20 again, and the prices that they're asking for. It just makes them look like money grabbers. But we'll see. I hope you will get the RSI Love in the Air paint for the Perseus next year. Wooter, take yourself out back and have a good word with yourself. How very dare you. Thunder Raider Cloud. Oh my god. Absolutely. Thunder Raider Cloud. That's it. That's it. Then what's a Ferber Blabber Hobbit? That. Nice. You've got it, Jedi. Have you? Good. I'm pleased. Jedi brought up an interesting point. Who in chat knows what Operation Pitchfork is? Because that's an interesting thing, and it's kind of fallen off a lot. I guess that's only natural because Pitchfork came about years and years and years ago. But do people still know what Pitchfork is? Is that a thing now? Is anyone not sure what Pitchfork is? No idea, says Viablight. Absolutely. It's been so long, Viablight, since it's been mentioned that there's that it's it hasn't happened in quite a while. But Operation Pitchfork was basically when they were starting to release the lore around Vanduul and the attacks they were making on the system. People basically decided to create something called Operation Pitchfork, which is a player-made initiative that just before the final wipe, before the game goes live in that final thing, basically all the players are going to get together and they're going to basically try and take on the Vanduul, full-scale player invasion of Vanduul systems. Which, as we've found out now, is probably not going to happen because the Vanduul systems, well, there won't be one. But I would imagine Pitchfork will just cool its heels until there is a Vanduul system, and then we will go and launch full-scale into it. But yeah, so that was the idea that all the players would get together and go to take on the Vanduul as much as they can. So yeah, that sounds as almost as important as the shortage of new Origin ships. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I know I'd be in trouble with one person at least for saying that out loud. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the interesting thing with Origin is so much of the luxury field just isn't implemented yet. So this whole idea of we're not bringing it in until its gameplay exists rules an awful lot of the field out for Origin. You could argue that the exploration loop is in there. We've got a couple of fighters from them, but you look at a lot of their big stuff, then there's a lot of stuff missing before we can get that, like passenger gameplay, VIP gameplay, all that sort of good stuff. That's so sad. I wanted to play as a Banu merchant that also traded with a Vanduul. Well, there's some interesting stories, or interesting ideas. Interesting, I don't know what you would call them. theories, conspiracy theories, fan theories about the Vanduul, and that they might not be the big threat. But that's kind of cool. I have an old challenge coin for Pitchfork. Awesome, Douglas. That's very cool. Oh, sorry. I'm reading your name wrong. I'm really sorry. Doug A.L. McAllister. That's better, isn't it? Why am I calling you Douglas? I do apologise. I've butchered your name. I shall hang my head in shame. I shall, you know, beg for forgiveness before I go to sleep this evening. Sorry about that, mate. But yeah, an old challenge coin for Pitchfork. That's very cool. Do you know what? Challenge coins are something that I thought it would be really cool to get some challenge coins together and then take them to like CitizenCon. And if people come up and say hello, and say hi badges or whatever, hi DGP, whatever it is, give them a challenge coin. I thought that would be really cool. And then I looked at the price of challenge coins, and it's a little bit cost prohibitive because you've got to buy them in bulk. But maybe if I ever get to the point of doing merch, there's a couple of military themed things that I want to do, and challenge coins is definitely one of them. I have two upstairs. I have one from 21 Squadron SAS, 22 Squadron SAS. I'll have to check. But I've got one from them, which wasn't given to me directly. It was given to me by someone else, and I can't really say more than that. And I've got one from a US warship, which is very, very cool. But challenge coins are awesome. So yeah, the 600 I rework they showed says Eve Inspiration. Absolutely. I'm betting on a massive Vanduul invasion right before a final wipe. They could do so much with that. It would be very, very cool. They could even have characters from Squadron 42 involved in a you can't destroy them voice line sort of way. The UAE Navy turns up and helps us, and you've got them talking to each other and to us. That would be really cool. I think having the Retribution turn up into that and having Gary Oldman there and shouting out, support for us and, Operation Pitchfork, the UAE Navy stands with you and all that sort of stuff would be very, very cool, right? And it's certainly something within their ability to do, should they so feel. Thundercloud Paint in Variation Jedi. Interesting. That would be nice. The 400 I released at my first sitcom, but we've only gotten more Drake ships since then. Feels like a bait and switch. Oh, Ninja, that's awful. Oh dear, yeah, especially when it's Drake. That's just like, hey, you see that Origin stuff? Now have Drake. Yeah, that's rubbish. Have they shown any official stat updates for the Perseus? Sonic. First of all, Sonic, welcome in. Good evening, buddy. No, nothing at the minute. Truther, good to see you, buddy. Hello, mate. Stack those credits for the big sale. Nice. Absolutely. Yep, spending tokens for IAE. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be pretty classy at sitcoms. Yeah, I like that idea of kind of, because it's always weird, right? It's the last sitcom that I went to, the one up in Manchester, was awesome. There's a chap that jumped in and said hello, and he went and bought us a drink at the bar, and I got him talking to everyone because obviously there was a group of us there, and I always find it really odd, right? Because to me, whilst we talk and whilst I've been able to meet people at sitcoms, for 90% of you in chat, I've never met you. Like, I'm still sat at home with my computer in front of me, sitting where I do sit when I'm gaming or when I'm working on videos and all that sort of stuff. Very little's changed. So people come up and say hello, and that's awesome. And I get, on an abstract level, you get the, oh, okay, I do the YouTubes now. But having that real world interaction with people when they come up and someone you don't know wants to buy you a drink and say really nice things. I'm British. I don't deal well with that sort of stuff. I'm like, don't like it. So I think having that is a really nice way of recognizing people who, because for some people they're socially outgoing and they're always happy to come up and talk to people. For some people they're obviously not, but they still come up and say hello, and I kind of want a way of saying thank you and just recognizing that people come up and they say really nice things, or sometimes they don't, but that would be really cool, and I like the idea of doing that with challenge coins. Because I think maybe it'll be something that, like, I don't know, I do one for in-person meets, so there'll be the merch one that you could buy, but the in-person meets one will be something else entirely. And you know, I don't think that's unfair, because it's not like I'm charging to go to events, so I'm forcing people to come to the event to get the challenge coin. It's just if I bump into you, it's just a really nice kind of, you only get that through meeting Badgers and the DGP guys in person, and I think that's a nice thing to do. But yeah, we'll have to see. Is Bishop still alive in Star Citizen 50 years after Squadron 42? Good question. No clue. Badgers, do you think we'll get a behind the ship for the Perseus tomorrow? I don't know if I thought, were they Tuesdays, the behind the ships? I thought they were Tuesdays. If it's Monday, yes, I'm expecting to get a behind the ship for the Perseus, 100%. Which is going to be really annoying, because I've just realised that what I really want to do is get my video out tomorrow if I can. No promises. If I can. If the behind the ship comes out before I release that video, it invalidates the video, because so much of that video is talking about what we don't know. So I think I will probably just rage quit up desk at that point and go, and that'll be the end of the I'm not drinking anymore thing. But yes. The real question is, do you know what Operation Iron Hay Bale is? Are you just making this up now, Jedi? Are you just making that up? I have no idea what Operation Hay Bale is. I still have a coin from the Dutch commandos when I was still in the military for showing them how to skin a rabbit for survivor training. Wow. I'm glad my rabbit's not here. We'd be very upset to hear you say that. Dang, late to the party again, working too much. Sorry, I read that one out already. Rust buckets are for some reason attracted to most of the SC audience. I can't stand it. We need more consolidated Outland and Argo ships. Well, we're going to get an Argo vehicle, so there's that. Is Bishop still alive in SC? Kind of talked about that. Don't think so. Well, don't know. Can you just keep putting him back into a younger body? Is that how the regen thing works? Don't know. Questions for the lore team. If there's anyone in lore team, how does that work? Can people basically just keep going? Bizarre. So now I know, whenever we see badges in real life, first thing is not hello, it's where's my challenge coin, mate. Thanks, Rash. You're not having one. You're out of the clan, man. So yeah. Have you heard of Operation Titanium Castle Trough? Titanium Cattle Trough. You are just making this up now. Stop it, you monsters. No, I haven't heard of any of these things. Pack it in, the lot of you. So yeah, there's that. So yeah. It's looking interesting for IAE. There's a lot in there to keep people interested. What's the salvation? What's the clipper? What's it do? You know, how are they going to make the Apollo into the Hermes if that's indeed what it is? What are the changes with Perseus? I think, to be honest, the bit that I'm least interested in is probably the MTC, and that's mainly because A, I'm not massively bothered about ground vehicles to start with, but B, Greycat to me have always been a non-combat. They are the, you know, the industrial ground guys. Having I know they'll say, well, it's only a defense vehicle. Yeah, but it's still a military application. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. It wasn't clear because your theory got limited regens, but at the same time, why not use a regen profile from 10, 20 years ago in your prime or something? Well, the memory's just in a body that, you know, don't know. I suppose because it's regen and not cloning, it is still the same body, isn't it? So, yeah. Operation Haybell is the devs' reply to Pitchfork. They'll be on the Vanduul side against players. Oh my god, that would be awesome. If you got some sort of reward for killing one of the devs in Pitchfork. Absolutely. Utility ground vehicles, not frontline ones. That. I'm not a vehicle fan either, but I hate they release new ones while we still don't have the Rangers nor the Ugly Buggies. Ugly Buggies, are that the Origin ones, or is that something else? What am I missing? I want the L22 as a medium fighter. Yeah, I mean, I love the World War II aesthetic to it. I think it's great, sitting at the angle that it's sitting at. I think that's really, really cool. Got to be careful with displaying that angle with my hand, because if you go above a certain degree, then you're not talking about the wolf anymore. You're talking about another type of wolf entirely. Just saying. So yeah, there's that sort of stuff. God, that got dark really quick, didn't it? Okay, so yeah, just be a yeah that. So yeah, hello, hello. How am I saying that? D Coxel, is that right? Sorry if I'm not getting that right. I might have killed that, but that's it. So yes, widget. It's in Discord. Created the event. It's down there. Go have a look. It's in. So Decoxel, fantastic. That's good news. So yeah, the mass Perseus event that we'll be doing on the 20th at 4 p.m. UK time. The event details are in the Discord, and I might put something up on the community tab on YouTube as well. But obviously, to meet up as friends and stuff, Discord's going to be so much easier, and we can all jump into chat and do that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm literally the only one that said it right. Woohoo! Go me! Boom! Nailed it. Nicholas, welcome in, my friend. Are you doing Trick Shot for Star Citizen? Unfortunately not, my friend. I'm not. I will be streaming, but I'll be streaming here on YouTube. I am looking at my options for streaming. I'm really sorry. I don't think Twitch is going to be one of them, given some of the decisions that they've made recently. I'm not entirely sure I want to be associated with that nonsense. So, and we might talk about that later on down the line. But yeah, what do you think of the newest salvage ship coming out? That's the RSI Salvation, we think. We were just talking about that earlier, Decoxel. Basically, what I said was, I'm really pleased that salvagers will have an entry-level ship that is much cheaper than, or hopefully much cheaper than, what the Vulture and the Misk Fortune are. I think that's really cool. I don't like the idea that people have to stump up $170 odd in cash to come into a profession, not when the others have very much cheaper options for a lot of ships. Of course, there are some that you're going to have to stump up much more cash for, like the Starfarer being repair, rearm, refuel, that sort of stuff, or rearm, refuel, because it's got it needs the space on board and it's going to be multi-crew and all the functionality. Of course, there are for some, but that doesn't apply to mining and salvage. So I'm really pleased. Been looking forward to it, especially hopefully it'll follow the Golem and pump out 16 SCU. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it might be slightly different, I guess, just because it'll be quite close to the Vulture in that case. But it might be slightly less. Maybe they'll go to 12 or whatever. But don't know. I'm sure whatever it will be, it's an RSI ship, so they'll do a good job on it. I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. But yeah, so that's that. Right, as you can probably tell by the fact that I can't string a sentence together at the minute, I'm probably going to cut it just a couple minutes short. But you've all said something, so I'm going to respond to those first. Question: what is the general feeling of the transition of concept to straight to flyable? Says Rash. Is anyone feeling less excitement or more? Does it feel somehow emptier of an event sale? I see what you mean. I think without concepts, what you have is, by the end of IAE, it's all over. What you don't have is that ship that's yet to come. You don't have the thing that you're like, oh, I've got this, or I'm going to see what it's like. Everything's out, and the discussion is kind of over, and it becomes a lot more focused on IAE rather than in the, looking down 2-3 years down the line and going, okay, well, we're going to have this ship and that sort of stuff. So from that perspective, it might well feel emptier. Is that a bad thing? No, I don't think so. I think having ships that come out straight away is not a bad thing. I think being able to get your hands on something before it's is bought is definitely not a bad thing. Being able to rent it at that point, or other people will buy it straight away, not looking at anyone except you, Del. Being able to jump on that and try that out is a very, very good thing. So I'm glad they're looking at the straight to flyable stuff. So there's that. Concept sales saved a huge amount of money. That's what I'll miss most. Yeah, there was the buying it for less than the retail price. Although maybe it was always going to be that price, and going flyable allowed them to pump the price up a little bit. You know, there's that function of it as well. D. Coxall says, I think it's great they're getting out of concept ships. I've been waiting for an ironclad for a couple of years now. Yeah, and it looks like you've got less than a year to wait now. Or at worst a year for IAE next year, but they're working on that actively. And that's good stuff. I mostly feel it's okay, says Wouter, to have a few new ones, but I also feel I need to finish the backlog first. Yeah, and of course with the backlog, with things like the Hull series, cargo's in, so there's no reason they can't do that. You know, there are some ships like the strip mining and the refining that the Orion will need, for example. Not so much, you know, although there's nothing stopped them to say bringing the Galaxy in and just not adding the refining module till later. But yes, I dislike using the concept CCU options, but at the same time, it's probably good to control how long people have to speculate on theory craft ships they don't have. Yeah, and it comes back to something Scotty was saying quite a bit as well, is that the argument about selling things on promise goes away when they go straight to flyable, and it's gonna buy CIG some breathing room on that front as well. So yeah. People waited long enough. Arastra also. Yeah, depending on how the Arastra mines. But I think the thing with the Arastra is not so much that the gameplay doesn't exist, is that having that amount of asteroids in one place, and maybe Nyx will fix that, we don't know. But yes, absolutely. Very, very cool. So, IE then at 1600 on Thursday, it was 4 p.m. UK time. We're going to do a stream. We're going to get the PRCI together, and we're going to have a look at the RSI stuff, everything that's come out. We're going to look at the store, and then we're going to go into game and have a go with that as well. It'd be awesome to see you guys there. I will put a reminder up earlier on the Thursday, ready to go, and then we'll probably do on the Friday, because there's no ship release that we're aware of. I'll go through my fleet and talk about where I'm going, because I can talk about what I find to be good value and what I do with my money in Star Citizen. So if that helps people out, then great. If it doesn't, then fine. It's not intended to be advice for anyone else. I'll just talk about what I do. And you can take from that as you will. And then we'll definitely do a stream on the release of ship days. As outside of that, I'll have to see how I feel and where I am energy-wise. So yeah, there's that one. Back in the good old days, concept ships had LTI with or without Warbond. Weren't they good days? Jamlak, good evening. Hello, bud. So yeah, you were in earlier, weren't you? Are you saying hello or goodbye, Jamlak? Or are you just doing that to confuse me? I'm not quite sure. But yes, good stuff. It's been lovely to see you all this evening. Hopefully you are as excited for the Twitch drops for IAE. Remember, just have it on. 4 hours will get you that really cool Geist suit of armor and the Aztalan helmet in the colours that we haven't seen yet. And do remember, your Jock Cop, mate, yeah, this is a revolving door, my friend. You are literally going to walk in, turn around and walk straight back out, my friend. I'm really, really sorry. Oh dear. I hope you're doing well. Thursday, Jock Cop, we'll do an IAE stream, so we'll see you there, hopefully, if you're around. Perseus stuff, anyway, for everyone that's in the Discord, event details are up in there, and it would be really, really good to see you all in there if you are available to do so. I'd be really chuffed. What are your stream times? It'll be 6 p.m. Sorry, it'll be 4 p.m. 1600 on Thursday. My normal stream time, Decoxall, is 9 p.m. every Sunday here on YouTube. For a couple of hours, we go live, and then videos when I'm not quite as broken as I am now. But I'll get one up. Hopefully, getting a Perseus one out as quickly as I can. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon. Once I've clicked on the right options on the screen.